Always so fresh, delicious, and nutritious, Eggland's Best Eggs fuel the body with 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 25% less saturated fat compared to ordinary eggs. Visit egglandsbest.com to learn more.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
You can support this podcast at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, a curious homemaker solves a cold case murder, implicating 6 people and sending one away for life. Was this citizen sleuth's purpose to discover Jessica Currin's killer or to protect him? We'll talk about the podcast Bone Valley, Season 3, Graves County. Joining me to get that done and more is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and the love of my life, Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
Also with us is private investigator, certified pet detective, resident cat lady, and author of The Final Curtain, Laura Bricker. Hi, Laura.
Hey, Rebecca.
And finally, our captain of all things cynical, author, podcaster, and soon to be, inspiration for a major motion picture with strange arrivals, Toby Ball. Hi, Toby.
Hey, kid. What are you, from Boston? Were you getting those same ads that I was every single time?
Oh, my God. Hello, I'm Malcolm Gladwell. You might think that an AI agent is something that you don't need. In every iHeart podcast, there's like 100 million of those Malcolm Gladwell ads. I think I heard some in this one, too. I hear that guy's voice again.
I kept getting this, some guy from Boston. He's like, oh, you see me in North End, and, now I'm doing this.
I didn't get that one.
I think that's a geolocated, I don't think other people in other parts of the country got that one. Some guy we're supposed to know.
Yeah.
Because he was on a billboard.
Yeah, scratch that. Hi, Rebecca. How are you? How are you doing this afternoon?
Yeah, those ads sometimes target you. And that's why some people are like, I heard an ad for some city in Wisconsin, the tourist board. I'm like, where do you live? And it's usually not Wisconsin because they're trying to get people to go there.
It's like the most Boston guy since those guys saw that angelfish and couldn't tell what it was in the the harbor.
Oh, that was incredible.
That's a great internet moment for sure.
Incredible internet moment. All right, so Kevin.
Yeah.
What are we discussing on the upcoming episode of Crime Writers On?
So on our next episode, we're going to be talking about the documentary film. It's now streaming on Netflix. It's called The Perfect Neighbor.
And it's about somebody super nice who's a perfect neighbor.
Yeah. Way to spoil it.
Just like me. I'm a perfect neighbor.
Yeah, perfect.
Neighbor.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, how that would not play out to be an interesting conflict-free documentary.
I think I would kind of like it if it was actually about a perfect neighbor, like our neighbor Sarah, who's literally perfect.
Oh, she is wonderful.
So a documentary where she just interacts with people in a really nice way.
It's more like our former neighbor who I am suing in Superior Court, and I just got all his interrogatories this afternoon.
Oh, God.
And, he sent 10. You can't send more than 25. He sent 10, and 2 of them were duplicates. The deadline is tomorrow. I've got 25 for him. That's what happens, man, when you come after Flynn. You make spurless claims. You better back them up.
Wait.
On paper.
Who initiated this whole thing?
I did. Yeah. He's a counterclaim.
Okay.
He countersued, so I'm a plaintiff and a defendant.
Fraud.
Yeah.
No,
fraud.
No fraud here.
I'll get into it.
Work it out in
future
court.
After show. This could be I got to be recording this stuff because it could be a great podcast.
Well, you can only record it if you get him, which I don't think you're going to do after this.
There are going to be depositions.
That's true.
Oh, my God. Are you pro se?
I am pro se.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my
I am
God.
pro se. I have some lawyer friends who are kind of like, saying, not only can you do this, but you're going to have a lot of fun doing your own case. So I'm like, sure. And you know what helps? Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it does.
I put this in. I say, structure it like this, do that.
Oh, yeah. Structure it like a legal brief. I do that. I've been helping a friend with something similar, and I'm like, now we're going to AI legal it.
Yeah.
In the style of New Hampshire law. And it'll be like,
Yes.
writing
It knows
this in
New
the
Hampshire
style
law.
of New Hampshire law. And you're like, oh my God.
Kevin was demonstrating it to me, and he said something he shouldn't have said to it, just to show me how it works.
Yeah. Oh,
and
you're
I was like,
it's just telling you stuff you want to hear. So I'm like, oh, yeah? How about I do this? Tell me I'm going to do this horrible thing. Kevin, I would strongly advise you not to do that.
Kevin, yes. And I was like, Kevin, you do realize there's no AI client privilege, right?
Yeah,
Like you just said you were going to do a terrible thing, but I'm sure that it's fine. And then Kevin was like, AI, I was just kidding. That was a joke. I was demonstrating it to my wife.
I said that, yeah. And it forgets. By the way, Maggie Freleng is probably pissing her pants right now, going, just shut up and get on to my thing.
All
right, should we talk about
Usually
a thing?
when we talk for a long time beforehand, it's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Should we
find
talk
out.
about that thing?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, leading off.
She had no law enforcement training, and she'd never even met Jessica Currin. But whatever grabbed her wouldn't let go.
Somebody had to do something. And if somebody was me, so be it.
Fascinated by a 2000 unsolved local murder, Susan Galbreath decided to become a citizen sleuth. With the help of a British journalist, the Mayfield, Kentucky homemaker identified Quincy Cross and 5 others of kidnapping and killing Jessica Currin, then raping her lifeless body and setting it on fire.
After it was all done, Victoria says they wrapped Jessica's body in a blanket and hid her in Jeff's garage for a few days until she started to smell. Then she says a few of them drove Jessica's body to the middle school where they dumped her and set her on fire.
While the press loved the story of an amateur detective cracking the case, serious problems were overlooked. The theory of the crime changed, evidence was circumstantial, interrogation techniques were coercive. Witnesses have recanted their statements, and even Jessica's father thinks the wrong man is in prison. But what the world didn't know at the trial was that Galbreath had a reason to lead police to Cross and away from their original suspect.
I've been told that the answers in this case are somewhere in the beginning. In the first cops to look into Jessica's death and the very first people arrested for this crime. But the investigation into those people ended when Susan Galbreath homed in on Quincy Cross.
She just kept writing scenarios till they thought it fit.
Bone Valley Season 3, Graves County from Lava for Good, asks whether the made-for-movie tale of an average citizen solving a murder is too good to be true and the consequences of that fiction. Host Maggie Freleng picks apart the inconsistencies in the investigation and actions of investigators and journalists too eager to believe the information Galbreath was selling. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about pretty significant plot points from Graves County. So if you want to remain spoiler-free, go to the estimated time code in our show notes for our thumbs up or thumbs down review. All right, now Maggie's relaxing because she heard me say pretty significant plot points, and everybody knows that's code, right?
Yes.
So, Toby, when you first heard Maggie Freleng talking in the first episode about the fact that this case centered around a citizen sleuth, I know that's not your favorite thing, right?
Yeah, I did start to get a little worried, although I trust Maggie. But yeah, the whole citizen sleuth thing I find kind of disturbing. And even though there are like people are like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? Like, yeah, sometimes it turns out right, but it feels as though it's just a barrel of monkeys that you do not want to open. And I just think about like, what if you were suddenly like some rando just got you in their sights because of some connection you had to a crime? And then, I mean, I think Susan says right out, she said, I knew who did it, so I went out to prove it. It's like, well, that's a little bit backwards, right? I mean, you're supposed to like gather the information
Cops
and
do
then
it,
figure
Toby.
it out.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Right, but it's
the cops do it.
But again, I mean, I don't think we can get rid of cops, but I think we can discourage just sort of random people who get a bee in their bonnet that they're going to like solve some case. And again, I'm not like trying to insult all citizen sleuths or whatever, but the idea that
Laura's
like
very upset right now.
I'm a real sleuth.
Particularly in this particular thing where the cops are like, oh, well, maybe you should be in charge, more or less. At first I was like, oh God, I don't like the way this is going to go. But of course, spoiler alert, it doesn't turn out to be quite what it seems at first.
Well, Laura, doesn't it all come down to this being a good story, like a good headline for local TV news, like,
oh, yeah,
housewife and journalist solve murder?
Yeah, self-described middle-aged cigarette-smoking busybody wino with no investigative experience. Yeah. I'm like, no.
Don't put yourself down, Laura.
I think that I've always felt that I was meant to be there the day that they found Jessica's body, and I often refer to it as through her, I somehow got my purpose back because it was a real rough year in 99.
And she gets the award, and she's out there with the guy from the BBC, but I'm just like, who thought this was a good idea? It's like, you know what it reminded me of is that, what's the one we watched in Texas where the kids were like being questioned while the adoptive mother or the foster mother was in the room about the House of Horrors at the strip club where they were all allegedly assaulted. And then years later, they're like, that never happened. It's like, same thing.
HBO. I can't remember the title.
Who thought that was a good idea? So it's like, they have this woman who, I like the way we find out the information towards the end, as we've heard about her, is actually a friend of the mother of the baby daddy. In this case.
Well, lover, I believe. It's more than a friend.
No, it wasn't even lover. Wasn't it like a one-time, like out back when they were high, like bent her over and that was the end of it? That was the way the friend described it. Like it was not a romantic interlude. So it wasn't. Kevin's like,
no. I'm not talking about the drug dealer and the girl got killed. I'm talking about the Susan and the mom of the drug dealer.
I thought you were talking about.
No, I was like, wait, the one woman bent the other woman over? How did that work?
Well,
don't you remember the hunting wife?
I was about to say she came equipped
in an alley behind a restaurant.
No, Susan and the drug dealer's mom were lovers.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was thinking of the drug dealer and how it was like a very
No, I don't think that was a loving relationship.
That actually sounded like an assault to me because she was like, she was taken away forcibly and then they had sex and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. No, it didn't sound good. That's what I'm saying. It's so you hear that she's friends with that guy's mom and they're going around. And by the way, they've like almost like deputized her to be going out to do these interviews. They give her information. They allow her to sit in on interviews. I'm like, how is this even kosher? And how was this not a bigger issue at trial? And then I just have to say about the BBC guy, when Maggie finally calls him and he's like, stop pestering me.
What a dick.
I was like, fuck you. But she's just like, okay. I was like, no, I would have been like, fuck you, BBC guy.
I actually found his suggestion that I hadn't read all the documents patronizing. And then I offer him the opportunity to reflect on his work 20 years later. To which he shoots back.
Any publication or broadcast in the United States which infers I may have behaved unprofessionally in the Currin murder will of course be instantly sued for both libel, both myself and the BBC.
But yeah, no, so Susan, I was waiting to see where this was going to go because I'm like, okay, we've got a citizen sleuth and they're like, she solved the case. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to be a good thing. And it wasn't.
Yeah. But I mean, you cannot blame the world for loving on its face the Susan Galbreath story, right? You know, Miss Marple meets Aaron Brockovich, right? Total catnip. But I think what's great about this podcast is to start pulling that thread, right? It makes it so heretical. It's too good to be true. And, you know, we're still seeing podcasts have done this and the YouTubers have done this. And I don't call them podcasters. They're YouTubers. I don't care.
They're podcasters,
come at
Kevin.
Me.
Sorry.
Come at me.
I'm coming at you.
Wikipedia Brown. I'll take you down with my jujitsu. But, you know, that's still the storyline, right? Like, average person solves murder. And it isn't until, like you say, and I think it's episode 4, that it is sort of like a, wow, okay, now it wasn't just that she was a busybody. It was like, okay, she had real motive. Then you see, like, why is this story so crazy?
Yeah.
But they hold that fact back just long enough so that when it's revealed, there's like a real punch to it, right?
So the other thing that Maggie talks about at the start of the podcast, Toby, is that a big part of the reason why these people were wrongly accused, arrested, and imprisoned for this crime was because of gossip, right?
Yeah, I think it's towards the end, and maybe they're redoing it from the end, but somebody says gossip is gospel in the South, which is a pretty good line. You know, a lot of the things that happen in this, I think, come down. I looked it up. Like, the town is like 9,000 or 10,000 people. So it's a small town, fairly poor. But it's one of those things where, everybody kind of knows everybody, or at least of everybody. And yeah, word gets around and people have their own reasons for spreading certain kinds of gossip, and some of it's real and some of it's not real, but a lot of it's believed by everybody. And I think sort of thrown into the mix is the guy who's investigating it is like, I kind of suck at this. Like,
I'm admitting it. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, it's like, I don't see how this is going to end up well for anybody because I'm in charge.
He told the victim's parents that he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah. So it's like, I think in that void, even though I'm sure like most people didn't understand that was his sort of self-appraisal of his skills, but in the void of like a competent investigation, suddenly that's where rumor and citizen sleuths and stuff can jump in because nothing's happening in the official capacity, or at least the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. I will say this. I would rather have a cop who knows he doesn't know what he's doing and does it badly than a cop who thinks he knows what he's doing and does it badly. That's just my opinion because, the ones who think that they know are the worst.
If those are your only two choices, I guess that's probably right. But I would
exactly.
I prefer one who's like
someone who does it good, yeah.
Barely competent and with a little bit of confidence would be great.
Yeah. So, Kevin, there's a lot, and I said this about a podcast we listened to a few weeks ago with Bill Rankin, that I think it's really important right now to show people how journalism is supposed to work and how it works. And there is a lot of transparency about journalism in this podcast, is there not?
Oh, yeah, I love the amount of transparency about the journalism because, first of all, I think it always sort of lends credence to the findings of the story. And one little point here I would also like to make is that, as I point out at sort of the end of the episodes, there are a lot of people that make it sort of difficult to keep up with who is who and like what their importance is. So props for directing people to very helpful show notes and for making them in the first place, but telling people because, you've got a bunch of people who get, you got a bunch of investigators.
Six defendants, bunch of investigators, yeah.
Families of the right. It can be confusing. And so I found that was great. Not enough podcasts really do that. Because that's one thing we say, we got lost in the whatever. But I do love the ways in which Maggie acknowledges her own fallibility, such as, she called out her own experience on Murder and Alliance about how she got it wrong. And for those who don't know, she did a wrongful conviction investigation on a killer. And as she went along and looked into it, she agreed that, the guy's trial was fucked up, but that this guy probably actually did it.
A lot of listeners commended my honesty, but I also got slammed for hurting the victim's family by dragging all this up. I felt like a failure and went on hiatus for a few months, dug a hole and burrowed in it, licking my wounds.
For her to acknowledge that, like, sometimes we get wrong or we have to be open to the idea that we're wrong, when this guy from the BBC, Tom Mangold, won't do that, or at least he'll say there's a teeny tiny chance that maybe possibly that we did it. Again, that sort of helps with the credibility of the reporting when you can say, I'm infallible, and acknowledge the fact that some of the things that you're doing while doing this kind of investigative journalism has parallels to the work that Tom Mangold did when they put Quincy in the frame for the murder.
Right.
And so I just think that that's sort of it's an interesting bit of soul searching that we don't usually get.
Well, Maggie admits, she goes, I'm doing exactly what Tom Mangold did.
Yeah.
I'm working with a citizen and I'm a journalist and we're trying to figure this out, right? And her citizen is super interesting. But Kevin, you know what is really infallible is our Patreon.
I knew that was coming.
Well, you're not supposed to say I knew that was coming. It's supposed to be a surprise.
Oh my God! What a shocking revelation! Revelation. Yes.
We're in the business section, folks. Go ahead and sell some stuff.
Okay. Well, hey, if you like all this and you're gonna want to get more of it, you got to go to patreon.com/partners in crime media. Just like Maggie Freleng. Maggie Freleng happens to be a patron along with all your other favorite podcasters. We're your favorite podcasters' favorite podcaster,
correct,
by the way. You can get exclusive shows like the Crime Writers On After Show. And what are we going to talk about this week? Well, guys, Rebecca had a very important interview with royalty.
I did. I interviewed literal
actual
royalty.
Members of a royal family.
That's right.
And she's going to tell you all about that.
I'm going to tell you most about it.
Most about it. With her discussion with the former Princess of Norway.
Yes.
And her husband a shaman from California.
That's right. By the way, you can hear the final product of that discussion on You Can't Make This Up, the Netflix podcast, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't the Prince of Norway, isn't he the guy who's been accused of sexual assault?
I don't know. It wasn't part of the documentary. That was extra textual, Toby.
That's right.
All right.
But Toby Ball has always got hot takes. You can hear them on the Deep Dive, his book club podcast. Right now, the book that everyone is talking about, we hear his discussion on the book, The Adversary. There is the, what are you laughing at?
I'm just thinking, like, in the middle of my interview with the Princess of Norway about her documentary, being like, so wasn't your brother accused of sexual
And then she's like, nah, that was the Swedish guy. You'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
There you go. Okay, super. Oh, all you Scandinavians blend together to us Americans. Yeah.
All you white people with free health care look alike to us.
Yeah. I love talking to people from Switzerland. No, fail. Married with Podcast is our advice podcast where Rebecca and I dole out relationship and life advice to listeners, including Ronnie. Ronnie can't deal any longer with her husband's boorish friend Dave.
Oh, I love that question.
Rebecca has thoughts. You can also hear her thoughts in the Readathon, which is about the ongoing Karen Read case. And right now there's a bonus episode. You get to hear Rebecca's discussion on ethical true crime with Justin Ling, Connie Walker, Natalie Jablonski, and Amber Hunt.
And I just want to say...
For losers.
Yeah. I just want to say there's going to be more Patreon content coming soon because Mel Barrett and I are working on a little project that we're going to bring to you on Patreon.
Okay. We also have people, when they join at the Bricker scale, they'll get Laura Bricker's exclusive podcast, Leave It to Bricker. And coming up, Laura, I mean, we've just done stuff with Peppermint Patties and you're living your best summer life, but you have a mystery and it sounds...
mysterious?
Sounds mysterious. Tell us about fox hunting.
Well, I went out to write a feature article for the New Hampshire Union Leader about fox hunting. And while there, I solved a mystery that was pretty bizarre about the fox hunting crowd. And I also visited something called the Whoopee Wagon.
Oh. Was it like fake fox hunting or real fox hunting?
We don't do real fox hunting in New Hampshire.
I was going to say, that's bad, right?
Yeah, no, it was fake fox hunting. But the Whoopee Wagon.
The Whoopee Wagon. Don't give it away.
I'm not going to give it away. I'm just going to say it was quite an experience. When I got there and they said something, I said, by the end of this day, I will find out what that is about.
Yes.
She got to the bottom of the Whoopee Wagon.
Laura Bricker fell off the Whoopee Wagon.
I got some whoopee.
Yeah, when you said bottom, I really got afraid. If you join us at the Let's Do What We Do level, you get episodes of Crime Writers on early and ad-free. And if you're a deep diver, you get all that, including getting to watch and take part in Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club. The next book that Toby will be discussing is The Art Thief. So, Toby, who's going to be joining you on that discussion?
I'm going to be joined by the aforementioned William Bill Rankin and Brandon R. Reynolds, who I do More Like Ancient Aliens with, and the very handsome, tall, and awesome Livy Burdett.
Yes, formerly of Spain.
Formerly of Spain, yep.
Yes, exactly.
We have to have one crime writer in Spain at all times, so I'm filling that void.
And one in Brooklyn, apparently.
Yeah, it's like keeping one foot on the floor, exactly. Great. So anyway, that's a great way to support us. You also can support us by following us on the socials. Smash those buttons, whatever the hell that means. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
I know what it means.
You know what it means?
I don't think
Smash those buttons.
It has nothing to do with the Whoopee Wagon. All right, so if you like all this stuff, then please join us. It helps support the show, keeps us going, and we just love making stuff for you.
All right, Kevin, does thus end our business section?
Thus ends the business section.
All right, let's fade that music out.
Hey, neighbor, celebrate the holidays with Birch Lane. Our timeless furniture and decor are delivered for free in days, not weeks. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop Birch Lane, a Wayfair specialty brand at birchlane.com.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality pros at Angie.com.
At Maurice's, we're all about great jeans. You know, the ones that fit you just right. The ones that go from work days to weekends and everywhere in between. The ones that simply make you feel good. Because you don't just wear jeans, you live in them. With 25 sizes, 5 lengths, and 6 denim brands, you've got options. And fit experts in every store to make jean shopping easier. Find great jeans starting at $29.90 in stores and at Maurice's.com.
So, Laura, there's something that we kind of get that is consistent across like wrongful conviction, wrongful arrest stories. And that is a lot of inconsistencies, either among a single person's statements or between people, and cops going, close enough. Thoughts?
Yeah. So I think the consistency you have is the person who's wrongfully accused. And
Right.
I know, having worked on some of these cases, that person's story has not changed. The story that has changed and was not even consistent from the beginning are these two girls that say they were there, Stubblefield and Caldwell.
And I'm just going to tell the world that as we get into this, Laura Bricker dramatically put on her glasses and lean forward because she's got the book report coming. All right, go do it.
Well,
do
because
it.
I can't remember names, but yes. So basically, Stubblefield is the cousin of our victim, right? And she's saying, okay, we were playing cards and my cousin went to go walk home. And then I just was in a car with the guy that ends up being accused of all of this. And some other folks, we're all high, yada, yada, yada. We find her, give her a ride home. And then we do all this crazy shit, sexually assault her, stick her body, light it on fire. You're like, what?
Don't forget the hitting her in the head with a souvenir baseball bat.
Yeah. So you have like this crazy story. And then Caldwell gives a different story where she kind of has some things that are similar, but some things that are different. But they're like, well, it's close enough. These two say they were there, and that who would lie about that, right? Mm-hmm. And then, oh, wait for it. Now they're recanting. That's not true. This is like the playbook of a wrongful conviction case, is where you get somebody that's like, I'm innocent all along. You get some story from these supposed eyewitnesses who are like, we were there. It's like the Stephen Avery case. You know, Brendan Dassey has this like wild story about what happened to Teresa Hallback, where it's like, and then like we raped her, and then we did this, and then we put her in a barrel, you know, all this, whatever. And you're like, why would people lie? But now time has passed. People are like, yeah, no, that's not the way it happened.
Right.
And don't even get me started on the diary.
Well, I just want to ask you another question, though. What did you think about them asking the women all of those incredibly salacious questions to try to get like super dirty details from them for no reason?
That was a bunch of bullshit. Like the cops, I'm like, what are these cops out whacking off out back when they're done doing this interview? Like, fuck them. I'm sorry, but like, that's all I could think was like, they were getting off on asking these questions. They're like, oh, are you a lesbian? Do you like lesbians? Do you like do you like vaginas? I like vaginas because I'm a cop. I'm like, what is this nonsense? Like, what is this fucking nonsense?
What type of sex did he like, or did he enjoy?
Oral sex.
Oral sex?
Yes.
What's your sexual preference? Are you bisexual or are you lesbian?
Especially about the women being lesbians.
You consider yourself a lesbian?
No.
You don't? Why does everybody else?
I think right after he asked me if I was lesbian, that's when he stuck his hand up on the table and was rubbing on my leg.
Well, those are the KBI guys, right?
Yes.
I mean, they're like these two cowboys rolling to town, and they're like, we'll set up at this, like...
What's the best vagina you've ever seen?
What category on Pornhub do you like?
This economy motel, and start bringing in the kids.
Yeah, what do you think of those guys, Toby?
I mean, what more needs to be said? You know, they're... Yeah, so apparently they previously did this, had been like drug cops or something. Like they hadn't handled homicides before. And it seemed like maybe they'd been watching like some cop shows and were trying to emulate what they saw. But I mean, the fact that there's recording of this bullshit is just ridiculous. You know, I don't think Maggie says whether these guys were disciplined or anything, but I think they were held up as being like kind of stars because they supposedly got to the bottom of things. But it's not best practice investigation techniques or whatever. It's just bullshit. I mean, it really is sort of letting their salacious minds kind of run wild with these young girls or women who aren't really in a situation, either I think maturity wise or sort of power imbalance wise, to not kind of go along with these lines of questioning and or be able to stand up to them when they start making threats about what will happen if they don't kind of fall into line.
Yeah, and if you want to sort of see like where that like coercive investigative techniques lead, it's sort of what ends up being the output. And the output is this story where a whole bunch of people had sex with a dead body, right? And it's like that just, like, when I heard that, I'm like, okay, I think I know where this podcast is going because that sounds like super bullshit. I just cannot fathom that I'm going to force everybody else to now, including the women,
to have hot lesbian sex.
Hot lesbian sex with a rigor mortis vagina. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, talk about
I'm saying hot lesbian
motive-less.
sex because that's what the cops were intimating, right? They were saying.
Yeah.
Wasn't it hot? Didn't you like it?
Yeah, and then you burn the body for, and we did it a whole other place and then moved the body, and talk about like trying to fit like weird pieces into something. And this is like what we get from the Reed technique. But, you're like, okay, well, why would Victoria lie about that? Well, in 2025, we know they get spun in the wrong direction by Susan, and they're like, they are so desperate to make this case stick that they're like, okay, we're going with this theory, and it ends up being like these two things that play off of each other, just bullshit and horseshit. And it's like, okay, well, now we've got bull horseshit, and that's why someone goes to jail for the rest of their life for bull horseshit. Bull horseshit, trademark Kevin Flynn. I'm going to just trademark that one. This investigation is bull horseshit.
I'm going to start using that.
Laura, speaking of bull horseshit, let's get back to that diary, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Caldwell has a diary that allegedly laid out all the stuff, right? And it was used as evidence.
I can't believe they found the body. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Shit. Exclamation point. The body. Oh, no. Yes.
So what are your thoughts about that diary, especially when it gets analyzed, right?
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. So now that all this has been called into question, she's like, oh no, that's not real. It was forged. I was made to do it because of the police. They made me do it. She won't actually swear to that, but she'll say that. But they basically re-examine the ink on this diary. And then at the trial, the Secret Service is like, they have like a scientist person, a chemist or whatever, saying like this ink could not be matched. I thought this was fascinating, to any ink that was available in 2000.
Yeah.
So this is post-2000 ink, which means that these diary entries were not written at the time of the case, but after. I'm just impressed. I'm like, the fact that somebody would think to get the ink tested.
Yeah.
That is wild, the fact that you can actually pinpoint that. But also, why would somebody go to such lengths to fabricate a diary?
Oh, the cops told her to do it.
Because the cops told her to do it, which is crazy.
It's like, how did Jay know where the car was? Because the cops fucking told him.
Do you have a diary? Do you write down anything in a diary? Because if that was there and it was helpful, like, we might be nicer to you if you had a diary about the events. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there somewhere where you've written this down, perhaps?
Yes.
Perhaps you've written it down and we can just read from it at trial.
Yeah. There are a lot of people say, we didn't even know Quincy until like years later, right? It was like the connection between Quincy and one of the witnesses was that he was in jail at the same time as her boyfriend or something like that. And that didn't actually happen until after 2000. It's just all this stuff. I can see why the Innocence Project is like, this is worth our time.
Yeah, this happened. So I know I always invoke the Jason Carroll case, but I always think about how he was fingered as the murderer in that case against Sharon Johnson. The cop was questioning Sharon Johnson's daughter's ex-boyfriend, right? And the night of the murder found out that at one point he got a ride from this guy that he'd been working with for like 3 days. It was like, can you take me to my car or whatever? So the cop was like, I'm going to go talk to that guy. And when he talked to that guy, he realized, he would make a good suspect. Let's just see if we can get him to say he did it and drag his mother in and get her to corroborate all this stuff. Is insane. It was literally like, you seem like you might be a good fit for the story I'm trying to put together. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So speaking of cops, Toby, there's a lot of supposition, rumor going on about actual cops in relation to this case, right?
Yeah, so it's particularly at the end, Maggie kind of dives into some cop stuff a little bit, particularly around this guy, Ronnie Lear, who is a deputy sheriff and who actually apparently scares the actual sheriff, who is the same guy who didn't think he was competent enough to investigate the murder. And then he confesses to Jessica's father at a grocery store, I think, that he's scared for his life from this deputy sheriff named Ronnie Lear, who seems like sort of a classic kind of dirty cop. And when he leaves, they find like guns and crack and stuff in his desk. So, but then now he's selling insurance in Alabama. So that ended up happily.
Yeah. All's well that ends well.
I mean, the whole thing is like sort of the background to all of this stuff is poverty and drugs, right? And sort of the corrupting influence that has on just about everybody, right? I mean, that seems to be where like a lot of the money in this community. It reminded me a lot of Murder on the Bayou, which is something we did in the deep dive earlier this year, which is a very similar sort of story arc. It kind of felt like if you took a look at the individual stories of some of the different players that you just sort of touched upon, that there's going to be these tragic stories. The one we do get is Rosie, who refers to herself in the third person, which at first it's like, what's that all about? But then I kind of get the feeling that it's a way of dissociating because of the horrible abuse that she suffered when she was a child, and which, as far as I can tell, did not really stop. And then she became a drug addict and then got clean. But, you know, I thought that was a very sort of affecting side trip that Maggie took a little bit. And I thought it sort of shows you the complications of people who the police were trying to manipulate and like why they may have been more manipulable than you would have expected had you not known about anything that was sort of surrounding their lives.
Right. So, Kevin, the cops work here, right? The actual investigation, the mechanics of the investigation, and of course, Susan, her involvement. What are your sort of general thoughts about the genesis of a lot of these issues?
Well, a lot of this goes back to the original investigation that centered around Jeremy Adams, right? Is it Tim Fortner who was the one that was on the phone, didn't want to talk to Maggie? And I was like, well, no wonder, because of all the cascading fuck-ups that he had, right? So again, I wouldn't want to like maybe go back and revisit that time either. But like, what was the thing about like rape kits? Like they didn't even think rape at the time was something that either what they didn't even test for that. There's no evidence, right?
Yeah.
And they took a bunch of evidence and stuck it in bags with evidence from other cases and like weird stuff. And that doesn't even like count, like, you know, accepting Susan's calls and seeing her as a credible agent for the state.
Which they didn't originally do, right?
No, it was kind of interesting, like, because we hear in some of those phone calls, it really seems like the cops are just sort of, you know, humoring her. Yeah, exactly. And like taking her call and whatever.
I found that at times the detectives kept Susan at arm's length, but they often entertained her ideas and followed up on her tips.
But Lieutenant Kennedy called and said he spoke with you. And said that you had some new information or something that you wanted to relay?
No, it was the same information.
So at some point, are they so desperate to like move this along that they will use her? I mean, at some point, she convinced them that she could do the work better than they could. And, you know, that's how you end up getting there. So it's the fault of the local police and the KBI. And some of this, I will say, I mean, I look back and I think, bad training, right? Because you got the read technique involved, you got other things involved, you got this whole attitude that you can't possibly be wrong, and if a jury convicted him, well, then that means they're legitimately guilty. But now, you know, with the ability of hindsight, you know, you can see where these things like go off the rails and the people suffer.
What was up with Susan, like pretending she wasn't involved at all at trial?
That was weird, right?
Super weird.
The attorneys on both sides even approached the judge to complain.
This witness is not being responsive.
She's saying Susan's not answering the questions. She's meandering. Susan sounds nothing like the woman who so clearly had written and talked about her fervent commitment to solving the murder.
What do you guys think about that, where she seemed to like
back up from her, like backpedal?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't like contradict herself, but she really, you know,
like pretended she didn't have a role.
Yeah, what was that about?
There's got to be like, we'll call it like public perception, rat pipeline, whatever, of information that got to her that's like, you're going to fuck up this case. Like maybe at some point the police even realized like, this is not a good look for us. Like, don't lie, Susan, but don't
maybe downplay your
role in this case, Susan, because, you know, we needed to look like the police did the work here, not you, the busy. That was weird.
Yeah. If I was involved in trying to misdirect a murder investigation and then I was up on the stand, I'd be trying to like sort of sidle away from that as much as possible too. I mean,
that's when it becomes real, right, Toby? Like you can fantasize about that and you could play Miss Marple all you want, but then when you're sitting down, like
it's like you can talk a lot of shit, and then when the guy comes up to you, and it's like, what the fuck? It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I gotta like put up or shut up, and she kind of shut up.
Hey neighbor, celebrate the holidays with Birch Lane. Our timeless furniture and decor are delivered for free in days, not weeks. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop Birch Lane, a Wayfair specialty brand at birchlane.com.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality pros at Angie.com.
At Maurice's, we're all about great jeans. You know, the ones that fit you just right. The ones that simply make you feel good. Because you don't just wear jeans, you live in them. Find great jeans starting at $29.90 in stores and at Maurice's.com.
DSW, birthplace of the humble brag. Here, the shoes are so good, no one would ever know how little you paid. If you didn't go telling everyone, that is. And with never-ending options for every style, mood, and occasion, all at really great prices, we'll definitely give you something to brag about. So go ahead, stock up on fresh sneakers from your favorite brands, or try those boots you always secretly knew you could pull off. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or at DSW.com. Let us surprise you.
All right, let's do what we do. Let's let our listeners know, should they check out Bone Valley Season 3, Graves County? Laura Bricker, thumbs up or thumbs down for this podcast?
Yeah, this is thumbs up. It's a little different than Season 1 of Bone Valley in sort of the setup for the show. I think what's consistent here is that you have a case that's taken on by an Innocence Project in a certain jurisdiction, and you're hearing a re-examination of that case. And you know, when an Innocence Project takes on a case, they don't do that lightly. They do that when they believe there is actual innocence. You know, I help vet cases sometimes, and they're not going to take a case unless they really have a claim of innocence. So you know right up front, this is a case where somebody's wrongfully convicted, and we're going to hear why. And it is enraging to hear why. You have some very interesting characters. You have family members of the victim on board with this case being re-examined because they don't think the outcome was right. And I think my only sort of quibble with this podcast is that there were so many different people involved in this. They had names that were like harder for me to distinguish because they weren't like super unique names. So I was like, who's that person again? There are show notes that can help you along with that. I kind of would have kept, you know, in hindsight, maybe a little bit of a flowchart for myself just to keep track of these people because this was a complex case. There are a lot of people involved. But I think if you are interested in wrongful convictions, good reporting, good journalism, and, you know, seeing what could happen to this case now that some light has been shown on it, there is a hearing coming up later this month. Going to be very curious to see what happens with this case. So thumbs up for me.
Toby Ball, thumbs up or thumbs down for Bone Valley Season 3, Graves County?
Oh, yeah, I'm a thumbs up as well. It's an interesting and complicated case. You know, this is one of those where you're sort of following Maggie along as she sort of digs into it and tries to make sense of it. There's surprising things, but surprising things in ways that in retrospect don't really feel that surprising. Like, you know, she uncovers some stuff where it's like, oh, wow. And then you think about it, it's like, well, it's stuff that it actually kind of conforms to things we've seen again and again and again. So in terms of sort of exposing processes and mindsets that lead to false convictions, I think it's pretty effective in doing that. Sense of place definitely is very strong. And I you know, it also doesn't have easy answers. And again, I think that's that's sometimes tough to pull off and have you feel satisfied when it's over, that you've seen like a complete kind of story arc and that it's resolved in a way that you can kind of walk away and feel like, okay, well, that's a satisfying season. But I felt like she pulled it off. I didn't feel at the end like frustrated about stuff that we didn't end up finding out about. So anyway, yeah, I thought it was really good. Journalism is awesome. It's always good to hear Maggie. So strong thumbs up.
Kevin Flynn.
Yeah, I'm a big thumbs up on this one. This is, as everyone said, a complex and interesting case. You can't deny it. Bone Valley is a brand that has the implication of being super high quality, super effective. This is, we're moving away from Gilbert and Kelsey and giving the attention to other journalists and other cases, but it's just as strong. We've said earlier that we know Maggie, she's one of our patrons. And so take that with a grain of salt, listener. But we can honestly tell you that she wanted the unvarnished, hardcore critique of this podcast. And it's very, very good.
Yeah.
Does a good job of sort of bringing us little bits of all the players involved, but not too much. And the journalism is very solid. And this case has a lot of WTFs and some great turns. You just can't find better source material and stuff to play with than this. Sometimes the best stories are too good to be true, and this is a look at what happens when that plays out in real life and who gets hurt. So I am a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm a thumbs up too, a very big thumbs up. Maggie Freleng is honestly one of my favorite people. And again, I just want to stress, she did say, if it sucks, I want you to say so. So we would be saying that.
Yeah, it doesn't suck, surprise.
If it sucked. Also, Rebecca Ibarra, I want to throw out props to her. She's one of my favorite producers in audio. She's really, really talented. And this is a great duo together, obviously. When I think of the Bone Valley as a brand, I think about a storytelling style that doesn't cut things that a public radio story would cut for the sake of efficiency and for the sake of stakes and for the sake of the narrative. Like, there's a lot here, but that is the style of Bone Valley. Bone Valley takes its time. Bone Valley doesn't rush through something that you might think is less interesting if the journalist thinks it's interesting. That is the style of the show. I personally super appreciate it because sometimes I'm like, maybe I would have cut this, but I'm like, why? You know why I would have cut it? Because my podcast is supposed to be a certain length. Bone Valley doesn't do that. Bone Valley is like, fuck length. We're going to let the story take as long as it takes. We're going to bring in as many people as we think we should bring in. Sure, there could have been a little more signposting, I think, but thank you for the show notes again. But man, what a story. What an absolute story. And last, I want to say, I really appreciate that Maggie demonstrates the open-mindedness a journalist needs to take when talking to people from all walks of life, right? We have wrongfully convicted person of color in this story being advocated for by a Trump-voting white rich woman, and everybody's treated with the same dignity, the same respect. It isn't like putting identity first. It's always like, what happened to them first? Who are they first? Not the artifices that may lead people to jump to conclusions or stereotypes. I just think it's absolutely fantastic how she reports, how she reads. And the way this whole podcast sounds to me, it was just wonderful. And by the way, one more thing, the variation on the Bone Valley theme song, super appreciated.
Oh, yeah.
That.
That's
nice
good,
little callback. So yeah, big thumbs up for me for Bone Valley Season 3, Graves County. Now it's time for my favorite part of the podcast, a little something I like to call the Crime of the Week. No need to be frightened when you open your Halloween candy this year. A judge has thrown out a lawsuit against Hershey that claims their Reese's peanut butter cups weren't scary enough. The plaintiffs argue that the Halloween-themed candies inside the wrapper did not match the picture outside the wrapper. The peanut butter cups were in holiday shapes, like jack-o'-lanterns and ghosts, but the chocolates didn't have the eyes and mouth depicted on the packaging. We'll also point out the candy didn't come with a bite out of them, like in that picture, too.
Thank God.
This is like the Easter Bunny situation, right? Where it has hair and stuff, and then you open it, it's just like a blob. Yeah.
It's fucking chocolate. It's a peanut butter cup. And you're in fucking court for a fucking peanut butter cup. Anyway.
The judge ruled that despite the consumer's disappointment, the peanut butter cups were still peanut butter cups. She said the plaintiffs couldn't demonstrate the differences rendered the candies worthless nor caused them economic harm. Yeah, no shit. Attorneys in the class action suit
$1.49 at CVS.
say they will refile the amended complaint. Great. Can't wait to see that one. So, panel, they might be two great tastes that taste great together, but they're not spooky enough for some people. What could you do to make Reese's peanut butter cups more frightening? Laura Bricker.
Feed them to somebody with a peanut allergy?
Oh, that would be very frightening. Tell me about, what about you? What could you do to make Reese's peanut butter cups more frightening?
I wasn't quite thinking in that sort of diabolical sense. I was more like, wow, just
she's evil, man.
Stick some fingernails in them or something.
Yeah. What do you think, Kevin, could make peanut butter cups more frightening?
Oh, worse than fingernails. Mike and Ike's.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know, right? That's the winner. You got it. You're welcome.
All right. That's going to do it for us, Laura Bricker. If folks want to find you on social media to say hi, how can they find you there?
You can find me at Laura Bricker on Blue Sky and Instagram.
What about you, Toby? How can you be found?
At TobyBallNH on Blue Sky and at TobyBall603 on Instagram.
Kevin Flynn.
I'm at Kevin P. Flynn.
You can follow me everywhere, including Instagram, X, and Blue Sky at Reb Lavoie. And I encourage you to follow the show everywhere on TikTok, on YouTube, on our Facebook page. But mostly, please join our incredible Facebook group. Find our page and then hit the link to join the group. Get episodes early and ad-free at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia, plus all the stuff we make for back there. There's like 1,000 episodes of content back there. Our theme song was composed and performed by Tyler Gibbons, and our editor is the terrific Brooklynite Livy Burdett. The EP of this show is Kevin. This show was recorded in Studio C, the closet in our New Hampshire basement, where we also are waiting for Hollywood to buy the rights to our bullshit story.
I mean, bull horse shit story.
On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you later.
Later. They held it back just long enough so that when this revelation comes out...
Revelation.
What did I say?
Relevation.
Yeah. I mean, they hold it back just long enough so when that revelation...
Revelation.
What did I say?
Relevation.
That's okay.
AI it.
Okay. I'm gonna
you
come
spelled
up.
it right here.
I'm gonna come up with a new word. All right. There's your outtake, ladies. Okay.
Hey neighbor, celebrate the holidays with Birch Lane. Our timeless furniture and decor are delivered for free in days, not weeks. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop Birch Lane, a Wayfair specialty brand at birchlane.com.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. One thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. And for decades, Angie's helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. Get all your jobs done well at Angie.com.
Oh, hey, love your shoes. If you're hearing this is your sign to try those on. Trust us, you can totally pull them off. In fact, try on every shoe here if you want. We won't stop you. In our house, you've got unlimited freedom to play. And hey, fall is the perfect season to do, wear, be whatever you want. And with tons of shoes that get you at prices that get your budget, we'll give you something to brag about. So go ahead, try them on. Let us surprise you.